ancient law, metaphysical keys to unlock the door. A book written by Jada Pasor, with the guided visions of Yoshimo. Ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, the spirits are within me. Our history. Ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, the spirits are within me. Our history.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Ancient Black Spirituality. So, today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to be doing a book review for The Past Is Never Past by Jailen Prasad. So, this book was written by my little sister, and it's a young adult novel. And I'm not just saying this because she's my sister, it's a really great book, and you can read it super quickly. And I highly recommend it for young teens. And I think it's a great way to get our Black youth to read and become more imaginative. So I want to have a discussion on this book today. But before we get started, I'm just going to read the summary of the book. So you all will have a little bit of background on what the book's about and the premise of the book. And then I will give more insight. So Past Is Never Past is about Poetry, who is a 15-year-old girl growing up without a mother. Poetry's mother died while giving birth to her. It is just Poetry and her dad. One afternoon, Poetry's father gets a call from his former wife's mother. She is sick with cancer and needs her family. The only problem is Poetry and her dad live in Philadelphia, and Poetry's grandmother lives in LA. The father and daughter duo move to Los Angeles, where Poetry will have to start her sophomore year. Poetry and her father experience some culture shock being the only brown people in a majority white town. While Poetry is in school, she bumps into someone she thought she met before. It brings back memories she thought she left in the past. Poetry has dealt with a very traumatic experience that she tries to block out. But how long will it take for her memory to remind her of the darkness that she thought was left to pass? So this is the copy of the paperback. The cover is so beautiful, and she worked really hard on this book. So hopefully you all will support it. It's available on Amazon. So some of the themes throughout the book, I want to do this review with no spoilers, so it's going to be a little hard, but some of the themes throughout the book, one of the biggest themes is coming of age. So it's a coming of age story in a way. At the age of 15, Poetry and the friends that she meets along the way, they're all learning about themselves. They're all learning new things about their history. They're all discovering new concepts and dealing with harsh realities of life that get thrown at them, especially Poetry, who's getting thrust into a new environment. So having to adapt to that. So it's really showing how young people have to adapt to these different situations and culture shock, and how they deal with that as they're coming into their own and coming into themselves as a person. And friendship is a big premise of this book, which is so beautiful. I love that the characters are developed so well, and the conversations that they have with one another is the main premise of the story. And it also deals with this concept of safety and child safety. So even though the book is a young adult book, I think it would be great for parents and their teens to read this book together, because we all have concerns, especially when it comes to our Black children and our Black youth. And so this book deals with that concept, and it's a serious concept that I feel like is dealt with in a serious manner, but there's still humor within the book. I think it shows all of the emotions that teenagers are going through and how to deal with that. It tackles racism as well. So when you're going into a new environment, which poetry is. And when you're going to a school that's not super diverse, but you're able to get your little group of friends who you have, but learning to use your voice. So that's what the character poetry is really going through when she goes through some of these different scenarios when it comes to dealing with racism. Her and her friends have to find a way to find their voice and use their voice in those moments. And it's great to see. And I think that that will give our youth a lesson of, okay, you don't have to just sit there and take certain things, or if you hear something, speak up and say something. And another overarching topic in this book is mental health. So, as we read in the summary of the book, poetry has gone through a traumatic experience. So, reliving certain experiences and having to deal with them, finding coping strategies, all of those things are dealt with in this book. So, although the book is fiction and it's a fun book, it also tackles some really serious topics and can start some great conversations between parents and their teenagers and start an open dialogue about these big topics. So the writing style in this book, I love it. I told her that it's kind of bringing back a little bit of that like old school, like it's not the same type of writing style, but bringing back like that Langston Hughes type and Paul Laurence Dunbar and Zora Neale Hurston, those type of stories, you know. So I think it's just it's kind of, it reminds me a little bit of those older stories because it's tackling serious topics, but the character development is so great and the characters are relatable and there's lots of dialogue as well, which is also why it reminds me of some of those stories of the past. And the dialogue makes it so easy to read. So if you have a teen who doesn't really maybe like reading, I think this would be a great book to have your kids start out reading, and they would probably be able to get through it really quickly because you don't even realize that you're reading the pages because it's so, you stay intrigued the whole time. So the writing style really keeps you interested, and the character development, as I said, is great. There's a character in here for everybody. I think everybody can relate to one of these characters. And I will say this, my dad, he doesn't really read like that at all. Me and my sister are big readers, but he doesn't really read a lot, and he read this book pretty quickly. He really enjoyed it, and he said it was like reading a movie script. So that's another great thing about reading, is that it allows you to envision the characters. And I think the writing style in this book really did that, to where you're able to feel the characters and feel their emotions and envision what they would look like. Even if we all are envisioning a different look for each character, that's fine because it's within your imagination. So I think she's very descriptive as well with the things that poetry is seeing, because the story is told from poetry's perspective. So I just think it's a great book for parents, teens, young adults. I know it's a young adult book, but I can't stress this enough. Everybody would enjoy this book. It's just a fun book, but it also tackles serious issues. And that's what I love about it the most, is that we can have these serious overarching topics like mental health and racism and dealing with these things, and we can teach our teens how to deal with these things. And this can open up a conversation through this book. So I hope that everybody will try and read this book if you can. It's available on Amazon. This is a really, really great book. Like I said, I give it 5 stars, not just because she's my sister. I tell her the truth. She's my best friend in the world. And the book is great. It's emotional. It's beautiful. Your child will learn how to deal with loss and grief, how to deal with up and down emotions, going through a certain traumatic experiences, safety, mental health, racism, just how to deal with so many different situations And when these things get thrown at you at such a young age and you're thrust into the real world and dealing with real problems, how do you manage dealing with that, and how do you keep yourself grounded and know who you are through that whole process, even when times get hard? And I think this book will open up that great conversation between parents and teenagers. So please support this book. Get it on Amazon. It's available on Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. She worked really hard on this book. The cover is beautiful. Like I said, it was done by Yoshima, the genius. He did a fantastic job with the cover art. It's exactly what we envisioned for the book. And the book is amazing. She's been working on this for years. She's still in college and she works all the time. She works with kids. So I don't even know how she did it, but she did it, and the book is great, and you will be on a fantastic ride. It's like a roller coaster throughout this book, and it feels like a movie, and it feels like these characters, you can just relate to each one. You can there's one that everybody can relate to, or everybody knows somebody who acts like that, or everybody had that kid in school who acted like that. And I just love it, and I think that it's amazing, and I feel like you all will enjoy it. It's super creative. It will, but the main takeaway for me and what I want people to get out of it, and hopefully I can have a discussion with her on this platform so that we can kind of talk about what she wants people to get out of it. But what I got from it is this would be a great book to get us off of our phones, particularly parents with their teens. Everybody put the phones down. Let's read a book, the same book, and have a discussion about it. Have open dialogue about the topics that are in the book and how they are dealt with. And a lot of these YA books that are out now, they're promoting a lot of different agendas that aren't healthy for our kids. It's just not dealing with the topics in a healthy way. There's always some sort of lustfulness in a lot of these stories. So I just feel like this is a great book that's so perfect for our Black youth. And it's just positive. It's not sexualizing our kids. It's going to take you away from all of that. It's going to bring you back into a world. That's why I think it's great for adults to read too, because it brings you back to like that kid in you, and it also will open up a great dialogue, like I said. So hopefully you all support the book, because I went to the store. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I went to the store the other day with her, and we went to the book section, and it's like the same YA books, and we used to be really big on like young adult books. I read more nonfiction now, but young adult books were our thing, when you're at that age. And it's the same books over and over again. And so this is something new, fresh, completely different than anything else that's out there. And it's for the B1 community. And we really hope that you all enjoy this book and love it as much as we do. I'm really proud of my sister. She did a fantastic job with this book, and hopefully you all will enjoy it and support it. Thanks for watching.